Lane Kiffin drama, undefeated Aggies. Who's going to Atlanta and who's making the playoff? It is time to get the SEC squad together.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skins are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
Welcome to the SEC squad, guys. Sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we get you ready for another week talking all things SEC. And thank you guys for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Let's welcome in our squad this week. We got a regular. I've seen so many comments. People are like, Stephen Willis shows up every week. Stephen Willis, Locked On Ole Miss. We got Corey Burton, Locked On Vandy. We got Jimmy Stein, Locked On Bama. John Williams, Locked On Sooners. I'm Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC. And guys, we normally in the first segment say, give me a prediction for your team this week. But because half the damn conference is playing cupcakes, I just want you to give me a state of your team right now. And no better place to start than in Oxford, Mississippi, where Stephen Willis, the Ole Miss Rebels are 10-1. Clearly, that's the biggest story out there, right?
Right. Is something else going on besides a win over the Citadel in Florida? Is something weird? No, this weekend for Ole Miss is just going to be about seeing what news breaks this day on Lane Kiffin to see what happens. And whether he stays in Oxford, he goes to Gainesville, he goes to Baton Rouge, whether it happens this weekend, that rumor is out there at the moment, or whether it happens after the Mississippi State game, I can guarantee everybody one thing, I will be exhausted.
Corey Burton, give me a status of the Vandy Commodores. Playoff hope's still alive.
Playoff hope's still alive. It's late November, and that's kind of new territory for Vanderbilt. They play Kentucky, one of the few teams that are actually playing a conference game this weekend. So excited about that, excited about this playoff push. And it's the most crucial two-game stretch in Vanderbilt football history. So let's get after it and let's go get a dub.
It sounds I hear these things like most historic game, and it's like it's not hyperbole. It really is if Vandy can make the playoff. And I bet you wish you got Kentucky a few weeks ago, huh? They're playing like a red hot team.
Like Bowley he is completely morphed into an actual quarterback. Like a few weeks ago, it was touch and go, and now, I mean, he's dangerous. He ran over some. I mean, granted, it was Tennessee Tech, but he's out there running over people, and they're actually performing like a real offense. So this is not going to be an easy game, and I wish we got the Kentucky team from 4 weeks ago where this would kind of be an easy game, but I guess Florida gave them a little confidence a couple weeks ago. So here we go.
We'll get more on that game a little bit later. Jimmy Stein, kudos to you for showing up, man. We have some people, their team loses and they run scared, but give me the status of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Well, it precarious. Looked really solid. Since the Florida State game and 4 wins in a row against ranked teams. Now a little precarious. It's going to be an anxiety-drenched Iron Bowl Saturday for Alabama fans. They'll be favored to beat rival Auburn, but it's taken a couple of miracles for Alabama to win the last 2 trips to Jordan-Hare. It's hopefully going to be just mostly tight fans and not a tight football team that goes into Jordan-Hare in about 13 days.
Yeah, it's look, it was a close loss for Bama. They were right there. Don't hit the panic button yet, Bama fans. John Williams, you're riding high after that big win.
Yeah, all things pointing up for the Oklahoma Sooners right now. They control their own destiny. They've got 2 tough games against Missouri and LSU remaining on the schedule. You take care of business, you win those games, you're in the college football playoff.
We'll get into the games this weekend because it is a big weekend as we head into SEC Week 13. But man, it's very interesting when we look at this situation with Lane Kiffin because there is so many dominoes that can fall here. We hear Eli Drinkwitz comes out this week. It says, "Oh, my name getting thrown around there. It's all a distraction and all this." The one thing I don't hear anybody say, guys, is I am happy where I'm at, and I'm staying where I'm at. It's weird that nobody can say that, but what do you guys make of the Lane Kiffin situation? We heard from Steven already, but the rest of you guys, What do you make of this? And it's the huge domino that will have to fall because it affects Florida, Georgia, or Florida, LSU, possibly Auburn, and even Arkansas.
And maybe even the New York Giants. Like, this is a situation.
And the Tennessee Titans, apparently, yeah.
This is going to be one of those things, I think, with Lane Kiffin, probably every year. Even if he stays at Ole Miss, it's going to be coming up because every team or every program that believes that they are a step above the University of Mississippi is going to believe that they can lure Lane Kiffin away, and he might leave. How he chooses between LSU, Florida, staying in probably the most secure situation in college football, aside from Kirby Smart in Athens, how he decides to leave that and then go to Florida or LSU. I mean, that's a tough call and not one I envy him for.
No, not at all. And when, a few days ago when he went on the Pat McAfee show and he was basically just trying to, I don't know if he's trying to put on a front. I don't know if he really just doesn't know what he wants to do. Like, I think he's seriously mulling this stuff over. Obviously this stuff wouldn't happen, but it begs to differ. Thankfully it's a bye week for Ole Miss because you wonder, like, if this were a game week, would they be distracted with as much noise as what's happening? I don't know, but it's definitely, I mean, obviously he's going to have to turn a bunch of people down if he wants to stay at Ole Miss, but if I were him, I don't know about leaving a situation where I have carte blanche. I don't know about leaving a situation where I'm going to have that guaranteed money regardless. So I don't know. There's a lot of factors for staying. There's a lot of factors. Wow, my camera decided to shut me up there. But there's a lot of factors for leaving. I mean, there's a lot there on his plate, and you can tell that he's thinking about it and he's considering every possible avenue.
Yeah, what's real curious to me, guys, is just the calendar and how the college football calendar has changed over the years. I think now that you have earlier firings, you'll now see earlier hirings. That just used to not be a thing. Now it's a major thing. Then factor in the playoffs, which goes on all the way through almost late January now. And in terms of the timing of all this and how the timing works out is what's fascinating to me. LSU, Florida, any other college team, they want this done as quickly as possible. You got signing day the first week of December. You got the transfer portal in January. Ole Miss in position for the greatest season in Ole Miss history. By definition, I think if they make the playoff, which seems a certainty. So I'm real curious as to the timing of all this. It's one of the most unique circumstances we've seen since the calendar's changed.
Let's welcome in John Miller, entered the chat. John Miller from Locked On Mizzou. John, we were just mentioning the Lane Kiffin situation, and earlier this week we hear Eli Drinkwitz asked about his future, and he's like, oh, this is all a distraction. But he didn't come out and say, I'm not leaving Mizzou. So Eli Drinkwitz, one that could be jumping ship for another SEC school.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation because it seems like everyone outside of Missouri thinks that Drinkwitz is going to go somewhere else, and yet everybody I talk to inside of Missouri thinks he's staying. And I tend to lean towards the people inside of Missouri right now. I really do. But yeah, I did need to jump into the chat really quickly to just make sure that you guys weren't shoving my coach out the door. But I'll just say I was talking to somebody who has some pretty good sources in one of these big schools that Eli Drinkwitz is talking to. I'll say that. And they thought, oh, he's going there. And I'm just telling you, I cut through that logic in about 2 degrees, 2 moves, something like that in chess. And I just don't know that it makes a lot of sense right now. We'll see what happens, though. I'm not that certain. I'll tell you that.
Steven, the same thing in Oxford, right? A lot of Ole Miss people were convinced Lane's not going anywhere. I mean, you want to believe your guy is not going anywhere, but as we've seen, anything can happen.
Yeah, basically Florida and LSU both have Godfather deals for him on the table. I mean, just a ton of guaranteed money, just Jimbo Fisher contracts, essentially what's going on. But Lane's genuinely happy in Oxford. And I talked to somebody that's inside the Manning Center is like, this man's losing sleep over this. And I don't envy what's going on because you're right. He has all the control, Corey. He can do whatever he wants to in Oxford. He has everything a coach could ever want except the trophy case. And that's the pull that he's having to deal with right now because he's having the season of all seasons in a year that they were supposed to win 8 games and be happy with it. So I get why there's being pulls in so many different directions, but I still would not be surprised if he stayed at Ole Miss. I would not be surprised if he went to LSU, and I would not be surprised if he went to Florida.
I mean, if he's truly happy where he's at, and this is like gut wrenching to him to consider leaving, he needs to stay. Yes, maybe Florida can get you more championships, but when was the last time they won a national title? I mean, a lot of the guys that are playing at Florida, they were babies when Florida last won a national title. You talk about LSU. Now that was just a few years ago, but that was also like a historic aberration with the offense that they put on the field with Joe Burrow and that crew. So it's not like these two programs are definitively set up better just because they've got more recent national championships and maybe a longer track record of success. Lane Kiffin has created a program that can be successful in Oxford, and he's done it his way, and he's done it being the guy that he is, both on social media and with the media and on the sideline. He's done it his way, and he's created a contender. Why can't he continue to build a sustainable contender out of Ole Miss, and why not win a national championship there? That, to me, especially in this era of college football, this whole historical track record of success doesn't really mean much anymore. We saw Indiana go from being nothing, it's a basketball school, to all of a sudden they're the number 2 team in the nation in just a few years' time. So if Lane Kiffin is truly like losing sleep over the idea of leaving Ole Miss, to me, he has his answer. He just needs to stay.
Just to add real quick on the LSU front, prior to Brian Kelly, the 3 previous coaches had all won a national championship. And to me, that speaks a little bit more to if 3 different guys can do it, maybe, he can do it. And 2 of those guys, 2 of his very close mentors in Nick Saban and Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron was on a staff at USC, on a staff at Tennessee. He was trying to hire him at LSU back in 2016 before he took the FAU job. So maybe there's that link too, where both those guys could be nudging him in the LSU direction. I don't know. I talked to somebody earlier this week from Florida who goes, done deal. Guys, I've never heard the words done deal more in my life than this week. Yeah. And none of it's a done deal.
Yeah, and then one more thing to Jimmy's point, just about the scheduling, they've got to figure out a different way for the college football calendar to work so that coaches aren't running into this decision of, do I continue to recruit for the school I'm at, or do I start recruiting for the school I'm going to? How does this all play out? You don't run into this at the NFL level because there's a clear, definitive calendar. It's like, this is the season. Okay, the season is over. We're firing everybody. We're hiring our guys. We've got 2 months until free agency. We got 4 months until the draft. There is a definitive calendar that makes sense for the coaching carousel that occurs
for the
at
head
the NFL
coaches,
level.
at least.
The college
coordinators still get
has
talked
to
to during
out.
Super Bowl week and all. I will say that.
Well, and then there's that whole thing about going to classes, and there's actually like a school calendar that gets in the way.
Right. So they need to move the playoff. It needs to get closer to the beginning of the spring semester. It needs to finish like right then, basically. So we're not 2 weeks into the spring semester, and now we've got new coaching changes that are happening after the college football playoff is over.
If you take into account nothing but the calendar, it almost makes more sense for Lane to take an NFL job.
Yep.
He doesn't have to deal with the LSU, Florida, and the pressure. And so many coaches these days, because of the craziness, prefer the NFL over college. Now, I do think that the post-house settlement, things have settled down just a little bit. One transfer portal window, things seem to be settling a bit. But most coaches prefer, the pro game and not having to recruit all year. I'm not sure Lane's a huge fan of high school football recruiting anyway. But I don't rule out Lane going to the NFL at all.
And
Miami Dolphins is a job to watch. Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Obviously, we'll have plenty more to talk on the coaching carousel in the coming weeks. But we still got football. Let's be happy with that. We got 2 weeks left in the regular season. So when we return, we will discuss some of the games happening this weekend. Half cupcake, half actual good games. We'll discuss that coming up next. Hey, first, I want to remind you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. Of course, the NBA is back. We got action every night, and no better place to get in on the action than with our friends at FanDuel. They are the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and whatever it is you want to get in on, pro football, college ball, still got all those SEC games up there each and every week, all of it there at FanDuel, and NBA, college basketball. There's something literally every night you can get in on the action, and you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay if you're looking for a bigger payout. it keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is playing. And who knows, maybe you bet against your team. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, get signed up, play your game with FanDuel. They are the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And, of course, all the college action up there as well. All right, roll along here. Locked On SEC Squad Edition. What was your comment, John? Missouri basketball?
I said December 1st, Missouri, FanDuel. It's legal. That's
okay.
the pitch there at the end. Yeah,
It is relevant.
I thought you were trying to
like the state of Missouri.
I thought you were trying to
No. Just a little pitch for FanDuel, just trying to get us some more money. No big deal. Hey, just trying to do some business here. I know you guys are here for the S's and the grins. I'm just here for the greens and the greenbacks. All right.
Well, let's get into some of the games this weekend, guys. And maybe, okay, I get it. It's not the sexiest matchups this weekend, but let's get to a couple of conference games. And Corey, I think your game is probably the most compelling from a standpoint of It's 5-5 Kentucky against number 14 Vandy, but Kentucky, one of the hottest teams in the SEC, running off a handful of wins in a row. They knocked off Tennessee Tech last week, who were 10-0 undefeated. So give me a quick primer thought on this one.
Well, I mean, the stakes are extremely high. Vandy's in playoff mode right now, which is unheard of. They're sitting at 8-2. And then Kentucky's fighting for a bowl game, which 4 weeks ago, they were just going to ride out the rest of the season, see what was going on with Mark Stoops and, just kind of try to put the pieces back together. But now they're in a mode where they got a lot of confidence. So you've got a quarterback duel that you didn't think you were going to have. Diego Pavia versus Cutter Boley, which no one thought was going to be an actual compelling quarterback duel, but here we are. And this Vandy team is playing with a lot of confidence coming off a bye week, hopefully get their defense reset a little bit to where they can tackle a little bit better and hold teams early in games so they're not having to climb out of these huge deficits. But, I mean, it's going to be, Vandy's found something on offense with tempo, passing game, things like that, to where they can score points now. And they're a little bit more dynamic than they were at the beginning of the season. So that's another element that they have ready for this playoff run this week. And then, of course, next week in a massive, huge matchup against Tennessee. So this is going to be a fun one. Vandy's favored by 9.5. That line scares the crap out of me. But the over-under is 53.5, which for a Vandy-Kentucky game seems astronomical. But it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be hard fought, because of the implications on both sides.
Because anybody
else got a feel on this one for like maybe Kentucky ruins Vandy season?
I hope not. It's one of those situations. I need to see a 9-win Vanderbilt playing in Neyland Stadium against Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I need to see that, literally like oxygen. Mm-hmm. But Kentucky, for whatever reason, they figured it out. And a couple of weeks ago, before all this run started, the Wildcats coaches sat down with the Kansas City Chiefs on ways to get Kendrick Law, the football, into space. And since they've done that, some games they've been absolutely dynamic. Maybe, as Eric Kane would say, Tennessee kind of fixed him when it comes to Cutter Boley. But Kentucky, all of a sudden, they're just turning into an offensive juggernaut compared to what they were 4 weeks ago. And that's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. And they've got an intriguing defense. It's not one that you're going to throw up there as one of the best in the conference, but it's a defense capable of shutting down a capable offense. We saw it against Texas. I mean, they slowed the Longhorns down. And I know the Texas offense isn't world beaters all the time, but they've got their moments where they can be really, really good. And Kentucky kept that one close. I'm like Corey, I would not be too thrilled about a 9.5 line favoring Vandy. I think it's going to be a close ball game either way.
Now, Vandy wants to go ahead.
Mark Stoops is famous for his rocks fights. And this game has rock fights.
They love to play spoiler. Just ask Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. They love to play spoiler.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And with this game and the spread the way it is, this is going to be like a defense. I feel like Vandy's looking in the mirror almost with as far as the way Kentucky wants to play and the way Vanderbilt's true identity is, where they want to kind of control some things. So it's going to be kind of like a very similar matchup. So this, defensively, again, for Kentucky, they're feisty. They're not supremely talented, but they do a lot of great things. They make plays because they're in the right position. Like they seem to be well coached on that side of the ball. It's just sometimes they run up against some of these teams, especially early in the season, where they're just out there too much. And this defense is really kind of better than it presents itself. So again, a scary game, a rock fight, as Steve loves to say. And that typically favors Kentucky, but Vandy has won their fair share of rock fights in the last couple of seasons.
And real quick, this not just Vandy's playoff hopes on the line here, but I think Diego Pavia invite to New York on the line.
Yes.
If he wins these last two, he's going to the Heisman ceremony, I feel like.
Yeah, no doubt. And what Herbstreit said on the telecast in the Georgia Texas game was he didn't see 4 definitive finalists. And Diego Pavia can get into that conversation. Now, I think Mendoza's kind of running away with it now at this point. But, like, if Diego Pavia is occupying one of those seats in New York, I mean, just that alone brings a lot of juice to what Vandy wants to do from a recruiting standpoint, not only in the portal, but from high school as well. And they say, hey, look, hey, we're a playoff team. We have a Heisman finalist. Like, hey, we're doing things here at Vanderbilt. And that's the pitch that they can have. So just Diego Pavia getting to New York.
By the way, sorry, Corey, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just think that's such a brilliant point by you, because anybody who's hand waving that right now, you don't get it. Vanderbilt has been the doormat of this conference for basically forever. And if you're putting a guy at the downtown athletic club, I know it's not the downtown athletic club. The point is, you get a guy into the finals of the Heisman Trophy. That is proof of concept for Vanderbilt. It can happen here. That is huge if it happens for Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey, and if this game, 2 hours and 45 minutes, over under.
I might take the under.
Yeah.
I might take the under on that.
Be a lot of running the football, running clock. A real quick show of hands, who's taking Vandy to beat Kentucky? Is it going to be a clean sweep? Yeah, I figured. Saturday, by the way, is my wife's birthday. She's a Kentucky grad, so I don't know.
Sorry, Mrs. Gordy.
I know.
Sorry.
Now, I do hope Kentucky gets that bowl bid, but just do it against Louisville next year.
Yeah, and they would love that even more to do that to Louisville.
Yeah.
And
so I can get down with that win for sure.
Yeah.
The other big one this weekend, and it's luckily we got our Mizzou and Oklahoma guys here. Battle of top 25 teams. It is number 22 Mizzou at number 8 Oklahoma. The country's leading rusher, not the SEC's leading rusher. The leading rusher in the country, John Miller, is Ahmad Hardy. The playoffs are out the window for Mizzou, most likely, but still a chance to finish strong here. Give me the vibe on this one.
Well, sure, I'll say it's 100%. The Tigers are out of the playoffs, that's for certain, but still plenty to play for, at least in my opinion. Missouri has not won in Norman. Well, they haven't played in Norman since 2011, I believe, but they haven't won in Norman since 1966. They used to play there every other year, so that'd be a huge deal for Missouri to win on that level. Also, to me, Missouri, these are two really great defenses here. The question is, can Missouri score enough to win the game? I don't know how confident I am in that. There was some talk that maybe Bo Prabula was going to be back, believe it or not. I think he's probably going to dress out and be available in like a backup emergency capacity. I still think it's going to be Matt Zollers. That's all the indications here from Drinkwitz, at least. I really want to say Missouri's going to win this, but it's too hard to say with this offense right now. I think the Missouri defense can definitely keep them in it. But even with Ahmad Hardy, who just rushed for 300 yards last week against Mississippi State, I just can't quite go that far.
Interestingly enough, the last time Missouri also beat Oklahoma in back-to-back seasons was back in the 1960s. So a chance at some history here for the Tigers. I don't think Ahmad Hardy is going to run for 300 yards against Oklahoma's defense.
It's a safe bet.
To me, yeah, that's a safe bet. To me, that's the key. If Oklahoma is able to minimize his impact, he's going to get some. He's just too good. It's like playing Shaq back in the early 2000s. Shaq's going to get his. You just got to make it to where he's not killing you every single time down the floor. That's the same thing with Oklahoma versus Ahmad Hardy. He cannot gash you on a regular basis. He's going to get a couple big runs. It just can't be big run after big run after big run and after big run, and allowing Matt Zollers to play out of 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. If you can keep them playing 2nd and long, 3rd and long on a regular basis, that bodes well for Oklahoma's defense. But I mean, Oklahoma's offense hasn't been anything to write home about. it has been a struggle without some turnovers and without some special teams, big time plays on that end. Oklahoma really hasn't had consistent offense since back in the Auburn game. So they've got some things that they've got to answer. Missouri's defense is certainly capable of slowing them down. If Oklahoma can get some turnovers, get another big special teams play, that bodes very well for them. And listen, Oklahoma's got an edge in special teams because they've got one of the best kickers in college football, if not the best kicker in college football. They just need a little bit more from their offense to be confident that they can have a win in this one. But it's a big matchup, and I'm not sleeping on Missouri. I think the line at 7.5 is too much. I'm not confident in that at all. I think this could be a rock fight where it's like, I've told people it wouldn't surprise me if this is like an 18-12 kind of a game.
Yeah, I mean, just figuring out what Brent Venables is going to throw at Zollers is going to be the most intriguing thing about this matchup, because, we know what Venables can do to quarterbacks, and he kind of put Ty Simpson in a bit of a blender last week. So it's going to be interesting there to see how Missouri's offense kind of handles that situation when Ahmad Hardy is slowed down and not able to rush for 300 yards, and Matt Zollers has to go out and make some plays, not necessarily put the game on his back and win the game, because I think Ahmad Hardy and that running back duo is good enough to kind of also shoulder some of that load. But when you have to put some key situations in Matt Zoller's hands, that favors Brent Venables, and that's where the low scoring stuff is going to come in play. Can Missouri's defense, John, can those edge guys, can Zion Young, can Damon Wilson, can they create some really adverse situations for Oklahoma's offense and put them in some bad spots, maybe steal a possession or two to kind of get that edge?
I don't think it's explosive runs for Ahmad Hardy. I think this is the game that you don't want it to go 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, 1st and 10, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, 1st and 10. If that happens over and over, that's going to make it to where Missouri can hide Zollers a little bit at quarterback, and they're staying on schedule, because I do agree with John. If it gets to 2nd and 3rd and long, Brent Venables is going to eat up the true freshman. If he plays, it's one of those things. It's going to be up to Oklahoma to make sure you don't fall into the 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, and it's just 4 yards every single carry.
Yeah, Jimmy, with a healthy Bo Perbula might be a little different, but I think Missouri, if you're going to be one-dimensional against this Oklahoma defense, you better be able to throw the football. I don't know that Missouri just running the football is going to have enough success in this game to win it, but I do think that it will be a close game. That those Missouri pass rushers are for real. I think they're going to give Oklahoma some problems, but low scoring. I like Oklahoma to win. I just don't think a team that relies on running the football is going to have enough success to beat that defense.
And take Jimmy's word for it. His squad played both these teams already this season. So no, it's gonna be exciting. Look, Oklahoma up to number 8 in the playoffs. Quite a turnaround. Brent Venables on the hot seat in the offseason. Suddenly he's got his team primed for a playoff, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see. When we return, guys, 2 more big games in the SEC this weekend, and then a bunch of cupcakes. More Locked On SEC next. Locked On SEC Squad Edition continues here, gents. And look, just to run it off real quick, we've got Western Kentucky at LSU. Western Kentucky's 8-2, so maybe they give them a little bit run for their money. Samford is 1-10 at undefeated Texas A&M. So
Samford under.
I think they're
77-0.
1-9 Charlotte is at 9-1 Georgia. So that's, come on.
Yes,
Jimmy, you get a 3-8 Eastern Illinois. I mean, who's not up for that one?
Ghost of Tony Romo and Jimmy Garoppolo and Sean Payton, all graduates of Eastern Illinois. Hard to believe.
All good ones. Mercer's at Auburn. The only thing to watch here is Mercer's 9-1, and Auburn is not going to start Ashton Daniels. They're either going to go with Jackson Arnold or Deuce Knight. So something to keep an eye on there.
Deuce Knight's going to play. That might be worth paying attention to, because I think this will be his first action on the game field.
Yeah.
How crazy is it that Ashton Daniels will not play this week, but start the Iron Bowl the week after?
Trying to preserve the red shirt. It's a new age. Then lastly, Coastal Carolina is at South Carolina. Coastal's actually 6-4. South Carolina's 3-7. So that one might actually be one to watch.
South Carolina's hustling backwards too, by the way.
But that's all. And God, they were so good for a half at A&M. But those are all your cupcake games. We got 2 more SEC games to hit on, and let's jump into the old Southwest Conference game, guys. It is Arkansas at number 17, Texas. Arkansas, the epitome of close but no cigar, 2-8. But my God, almost every week it's a 1-score loss for them. Bobby Petrino must be kicking himself. Based off Texas taking their 3rd loss, what do you guys think here? Do they maybe pack it in and go, we're not going to the playoff?
They're not going to
throw in the towel.
They got A&M on up ahead on the schedule, and if they beat A&M, that's they might have an outside chance. I've heard some scenarios where they would jump if Vandy went 10-2 and Texas went 9-3 and beat A&M, they would jump them somehow. But so they're going to be up for this one for sure, and that's an old school Southwest rivalry. So they're definitely not going to let this one slip up.
Yeah, if anything, they might just look ahead a little bit and start slow, but Arkansas just not good enough on defense to even make it difficult for Arch and difficult for that wide receiver core. I think Texas's offensive line is good enough to kind of bully them a little bit, and they'll be able to run the football. And Taylor Green, man, he's great, but I just don't know if they've got enough to keep up with Texas and to score 25, 26 and pull off an upset. I just don't know if they've got enough offensively to beat that Texas defense.
No, they don't. And you're exactly right there. I mean, Arkansas, they're just they've got to be mentally exhausted with all this, and they're just going to probably just pack it in and say, well, it's not Bobby Petrino. We're just going to kind of play it out and just do the best we can. Players are like, hey, we're looking for portal spots, and it's just kind of like what Florida's going through now. They're just kind of coasting a little bit.
Jimmy, do you remember those old Southwest Conference games?
I vaguely. Unique spot for Texas, down after the Georgia game, but looking ahead to A&M, this could be a week to get them, but Arkansas just doesn't have enough, especially defensively.
Anybody but Arkansas, I
can see Arch Manning having the best game of his season this weekend.
Yeah.
And Arkansas hates Texas. Like Oklahoma hates Texas. It's amazing that they've played Texas 3 times in 20 years, and the hatred is exactly where it's always been. So that's something to pay attention to, because I do think Arkansas will give their best effort of the year.
Yeah, I was just bringing it up because I've got some Longhorn friends that, they tell me about Texas and Arkansas. We hate each other. It's like, okay, haven't seen this one in quite a while, but or at least as a conference game. They played each other a little bit in non-conference. All right, gents, last one. It is Tennessee at Florida, and Tennessee 7-3, playoffs off the table likely for them. Florida 3-7, but when you consider
for them too.
Yeah, well, yeah. But when you consider Florida has had Tennessee's number, you got to think Josh Heupel, man, he wants to stick it to the Gators in this one,
especially in the swamp. This would be a good opportunity for him to get that done with a team that's kind of packed it in a little bit. But again, Florida's pesky, and Florida could say, "Hey, we're going to ruin whatever good season you were having and send Tennessee into some sort of tailspin."
Yeah, Florida's not going out lightly. They're taking fights to everybody they play. Surprisingly, you'd think that after they fired Billy Napier that things would kind of go downhill, but they're battling out there. And Hype, he doesn't want to lose this one and then have to face Vanderbilt and potentially go into the end of the season on a losing streak with those 2 losses. That would be kind of rough for Hype, man. And listen, I think Josh Heupel's a really, really good coach. I still think he's kind of maybe got a little bit to prove to that Tennessee fan base.
And also, it's important to remember the last time Tennessee won in Gainesville, Eli Manning was a senior at Ole Miss. So, wow. Until Tennessee wins down there, I don't know that they can.
Yeah, it's like one of those places it's just not meant to be, not meant to happen.
Yeah.
And that's troublesome for a Tennessee group that's looking for some confidence, especially after what Oklahoma did to them. That shook them up a little bit, because right at that point they were like, okay, we're gonna send the Brent Venables era maybe somewhere else, and we're gonna continue rolling on towards the playoff, and then all of a sudden, bam, Oklahoma strikes, and then they start to kind of sputter a little bit. Now they haven't lost since then, obviously, but you can see the confidence, kind of like they're questioning Josh Heupel. There's things defensively that they're just not good at. And this thing could get tricky with some of the misfortune they have playing at the Swamp.
Yeah, Tennessee's last win there 2 decades ago. And I saw this, guys. Florida's bringing back Urban Meyer. They're going to honor him on the field. So, I mean.
God. Please, Tennessee, put up like 40 and beat them by 20, please.
They might. Who would have had in August Joey Aguilar almost certain to throw for more yards than Lagway?
Yeah,
Nobody.
It's crazy. By the way, one for the rumor mill, had somebody reach out to me that the report is Sam Leavitt is going to enter the portal after the year at Arizona State. Watch him and Josh Heupel. I think that might be an interesting one to watch for 2026. So just putting that out there. Just putting it out there.
Nice.
Look at Chris Gordy breaking the news. That's a
Look at
Gord
you,
bomb.
man.
Breaking anything, just a rumor, internet rumor. We'll
Gordy's
see.
doing the journalism.
He's gonna be arguably the top portal, option out there, unless we get a surprise, like a Carson Beck from last year. Levitt's gonna be probably the top name out there.
Yeah. Well, we'll have all offseason
spot for Sam Leavitt. I mean, just saying.
We'll have all offseason to dissect the portal and movements. But, gents, best of luck to your teams. In a perfect world, all your teams will be in the playoff in a couple weeks. So we'll see if that happens. But for John Miller, who jumped off early, Corey Burton, Stephen Willis, John Williams, and Jimmy Stein, I'm Chris Gordy. This has been our Locked On SEC Squad edition. Remember to follow and subscribe. We'll be covering your favorite teams throughout every day throughout the season. Don't forget, I'll have you covered with the full conference side, Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team. And thank you guys again for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network.
Bring it by week.
Chris Gordy doing the journalisms.
Mm.